Hello, welcome back to another. Let me do that again. I felt off. Felt like a slow. It was softer on the
Mm.
hello. You got to be able to hear the whole thing. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Black Guys on White Movies. I am your host, Aaron Covington,
With co-host Aman Adumer.
And Bernard Harris.
and this week we are bringing you the movie Stargate, 1994 science fiction adventure film about all kind of things, about a lot of things, really.
Yeah,
Egyptian
yeah.
mythology and pyramids and interdimensional travel, and this brings a lot of things that are kind of zeitgeisty, especially in the conspiracy realm, together into one massive, massive movie. And massive at the time. It's really, when you watch it, it's like, oh, okay. But at the time, it was probably like, my God, there's so much
Mhm.
happening here and so much production value for the time in this movie. So a really big, like, summer blockbuster epic, definitely in the mode of the ones you see now, the superhero movies and stuff, and the big disaster movies, Fast and Furious, like that kind of structuring and pacing. But in 1994, sensibility and technological levels.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. It's it's got a lot, it talks about a lot, and I'm sure we're gonna get into it. It's got a lot of discussions about like slavery and freedom. Um
Yeah.
Wooey wooey sci-fi. I guess that's the is that you let me know, Bernard, is that the right term for when you turn on a machine and it makes that noise? The whoa, 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 that kind
Yeah,
of sci-fi?
I love that. Wooey wooey. But I like the whoa, 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 whoa more. I
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Did they use both in this movie?
think they
Or this
did.
was just a wooey? Wooey wooey.
Now, even as you were introducing the movie, I was thinking like, what sound effect would go with this movie? And I can't remember a clear sound effect from it, or even soundtrack.
Like that.
Yeah.
That kind of um I don't know. That's a great question. Like I guess if I were to think of one, it would be like kind of that like big water splash sound that like the like Stargate makes when it the portal opens.
Mm,
Like
hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if I were to try to think of like one sound or something or sound effect that kind of encapsulated this, but hard to tell, hard to tell.
Yeah.
Um, I actually watched this movie late. I didn't come up with it. I didn't pick a black movie of the week.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
Any suggestions? Any ideas? Anything come to mind?
I feel like this is more right up your alley, Bernard.
I didn't
Sci.
really,
This is a tough one because there's just not
yeah.
going to be a lot of black movies made at this scale or allowed to talk about these kind of things. It's not People wouldn't consider that marketable. That's why, one of the reasons why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, so when you look at scale, the first thing that comes to mind, and this is probably because I've been seeing commercials for it all week, is The Color Purple,
Mm,
which is like really a significant black epic.
mm-hmm.
Definitely.
One of the few, if not like, well, and then there's like, I don't know, 12 Years a Slave, I guess, or
Yeah. I was thinking of just now, just thought of They Cloned Tyrone, just as a movie that takes little bits of uh, paranoid, like
oh yeah, in terms
what's
of
the
the
term I'm using?
conspiracy
Conspiracy.
theory
Yeah,
type of
yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Jumping off from conspiracy and going into fact and fiction and what's really going on. I would say
for
They Cloned
sure.
Tyrone.
th- the only thing that I could think of, but it sounded a little bit too ironic, is just the next movie from this duo, which was Independence Day. It's not black at all, but it's got Will Smith. And I mean, that was Will Smith at his most Will Smithness, you know what I mean? And it was that movie, I think, was certainly kind of a big action movie in black households and culture
Oh, for sure.
because of Will Smith. Kind of started Vivica A. Fox's career, or kind of was her first big thing. So I don't know. It's not a good one, but I'm gonna say Independence Day.
Definitely a stretch. Definitely a stretch.
Super stretch. It's a super stretch.
It's like, well, you know, Will Smith was in it in a huge ensemble cast, but it's not insignificant that he was in it. It was definitely one of his, like, after Bad Boys, before he was like a real bankable movie star, I think, was Independence Day. So in that way, it's very significant to his career, and then I guess to black culture because of that. Something like that. Let me read the synopsis. An interstellar teleportation device found in Egypt leads to a planet with humans resembling ancient Egyptians who worship the god Ra. What do you think?
I mean,
Yeah, yeah, that's the start of it.
I mean that's that's the premise. I feel like the is bearing the lead, which is like the god is an evil alien villain. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
it's like they worship the god Ra. Oh, great! Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, that could mean anything. It's a peaceful movie. He goes there,
Right.
learns about a new religion. Yeah, it's almost like this movie is really about just the idea that aliens built the pyramids.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
really what it's like. The starting point to me is like, hey, you know that alien, all the mythology that surrounds the pyramids and like who built it and hieroglyphics and what they mean. That was aliens. And like uh what happened was, because that's like really a teleportation device, or the spaceships or the pyramids or spaceships or beacons or something, they find a way to open up this ancient tech. Like that's really is, right?
Yeah.
It's it's catnip for people that believe that, or even if you're just like are interested in those theories or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, I feel like this duo, Devlin and Emmerich, the writer and director team, um, I feel like a number of their movies kind of are like very much those like tried and true sci-fi things that kind of touch on conspiracy. Like Independence Day is about Roswell, kind of tangentially.
For
Um,
sure.
this one's about this. They had that movie like 10,000 BC, which was kind of like cave cavemen, but at the same time there was like a advanced, like kind of almost Atlantean sort of Atlantis sort of like civilization in it. So it was like all very much in that kind of weird counter history conspiracy space. So they're definitely
Yeah.
telling stories inspired or,
Devlin, Devlin
you
wasn't
know,
on 10,000, but Emmerich was, and he's definitely like
okay.
the main creative force in these. And then they did some TV shows together, I think, which also play on that. The Librarians, which is like
Mm,
magic and the history of that, and Leverage,
Yeah.
which is like government conspiracy kind of stuff. They're
mm,
like trying to figure that out. And also like Godzilla, which is like another kind of radiation
yeah, for sure.
Trying to
conspiracy
hide,
thing. So
trying to hide
yeah,
the impacts of the radiation.
Roland Emmerich definitely has a genre that he likes to. 2012 he did, which is all about the end of the world conspiracy. He's definitely the guy that's like
Yeah.
bringing all the like
Wow.
things to
Yeah, I
screen.
remember that. Day
I
After
never
Tomorrow. Like,
I never saw that like through
Day
line
After
in his
Tomorrow.
work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't either. Oh, man, it's
He's
single-handedly keeping YouTube alive.
oh my God. Well, that's like a question that I have for you guys. I was gonna wait until a little bit later, but like how much is it that they're also coming like at a time when like this has to be a major piece of work for anybody who believes in like ancient alien stuff. Like it's got to be as influential as it is influenced, right? Like it's from 94. Like,
yeah.
everybody who's on YouTube now saw
Mm.
this.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, that's
Or
a great point.
and even some of those other movies, they're like 20, 10, 15, 20 years old, you know what I mean? 30 years old. So it's like
Yeah,
solid. He's just been helping fuel this and also reaping
Truly.
off of it.
Yeah,
Amazing.
truly. I feel like the History Channel should be thanking him for all the current programming
yeah.
it's allowed to have.
Ancient aliens and stuff. It's like that's all.
Mhm.
This is all part of that world, really. That kind of
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was reading a little bit of his little wiki page, and he his movies are universally panned. Like a lot of critics just despise his movies, just period.
Yeah.
Uh, and when he was asked about it, uh, how he kind of messes with the science or the history, he just talked about it being like a starting point into getting into the effects and the fun of a movie. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'll start with something that sounds like it's a little bit history based or something, and then just let's go nuts. Let's go make a
sure.
popcorn film is what he wants to do. Uh, which makes sense as an adult if you're thinking and critical of all this stuff. But I remember watching some of these movies like Day After Tomorrow and just being horrified, being like, oh my goodness, this could happen?
Yeah,
You're telling me a tidal wave that big will take out everybody? That's the Statue of Liberty. That's the tallest thing I ever seen. And it's being overtaken by a wave.
we don't stand a
Uh,
chance.
I don't stand a chance. I'd be like, I
Oh,
would
that's a good point.
Google search all these things. So he can definitely stoke the paranoia and the fear and like
It's a good
in
point
minds.
of like I'm just taking something that's on this just on the surface of human imagination and just these big kind of hypothetical what ifs things, these conspiracy things, these things that a lot of people believe and everybody's kind of heard.
Yeah.
Roswell, you've heard about, you know the pyramids exist, whatever you know or don't know about them. And then just what if them into a movie. Like that is not an insane way of thinking. That's very like logical. It's very like ultimate entertainery. I like a picture like a Barnum and Bay, Ringling Brothers type of like, come here and see world end, the world ending monstrosity. I got the movie for you about glaciers and dinosaurs. And did you know the dinosaurs are actually, you know what I mean? And the lizard. He hasn't done a lizard people movie yet. Come on, Roland. You got to do a
Oh,
lizard people movie.
it's in the works. It's in the works. It's coming.
Gotta be.
I'm
Yeah,
waiting
that's
on the
cool.
Tupac and Cuba movie. I gotta see what that one's about.
I don't know if there's enough like destruction for him to tackle
I was
that.
just
You
about to
know,
say with world-ending
Yeah, you're right.
effects, that's
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
I
you have
want
to
to
loop
see.
Tupac into another conspiracy, like the lizard people or the dinosaurs that still exist.
Mhm.
Tupac is their trainer or something. Like, who is controlling these dinosaurs? Tupac Shakur. He's still alive and wrangling dinosaurs.
Oh my God. It's funny that you said like Barnum and Bailey and everything, because I was thinking like this is in that genre of like, I don't know, the land before time or whatever. Like, there's a
Yeah,
plateau in South America where there's, a bunch of
yeah,
dinosaurs still or something like that. Like, it's really from that kind of era. I'm like surprised that they didn't do War of the Worlds, that Spielberg movie, because like that's almost like definitely the sort of like late 1800s sci-fi that they kind of play around in.
I
Just
understand why
modern.
Spielberg did it because it's the history of it, the film
Mhm.
history of it, and Orson Welles and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like tapping into that. But you're right, it really is up. Emmerich was like, "Don't play in my genre, man. Stay off
Right.
my corner, string. Stay off my corner,
Mhm.
Marlowe."
I do destruction.
What do you guys think of this movie? Broad, broad thoughts. I know we
Wanna go
kind of
first?
covered a little bit, but just kind of go and yeah, go ahead and go
Yeah.
B.
Okay, sure. Uh,
Well, you go first because you picked this movie.
I did.
So let's hear your thoughts about that. And I know you've seen it before. I've seen it before too. And yeah, so how you thought before and how you think now.
Sure. So I picked this movie. Something something recently had brought it to mind, and then watching Minority Report last week was like also like, yeah, this is another 90s sci-fi ish thing. I'm interested to see how it's aged. Um, and I
Mm-hmm.
kind of had the opposite experience that I had with Minority Report, which is I kind of expected that one to be good or to enjoy it, and I kind of didn't. And this one I expected kind of to not, because I remembered not really loving it, thinking it was kind of cool, but not really loving it. And I enjoyed it. I don't. It's not Shakespeare or anything like that, and it's not meant to be. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to hear if you guys enjoyed my suggestion as much as I did. But I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I thought it was like pretty tightly focused, even though it's like 2 hours. It kind of gets into it, and it kind of ends out right as the adventure ends. And I don't know. I guess I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I had not seen this movie, but I definitely saw Stargate SG-1, like the TV show.
Right.
I remember watching that, and I remember like the iconography of it all, like the gate and the whole thing.
Right.
So in watching it, having not realized it was a movie, I was kind of like taken aback by all of the young actors, the younger version of the known actors we have. I was like, James Spader? I don't think I've seen
Mm-hmm.
him young in anything yet. And so it was exciting to see Kirk Douglas, um, and just being like, okay, wait, did I say that right?
Russell.
For Russell.
Yeah, it was definitely Kurt Russell. Yeah. No, you guys didn't see Kirk Douglas in yours? Oh,
Man,
I
it would
okay.
have
I
been
saw him at the beginning,
amazing.
at like the very. It was a cameo.
Yeah.
He crawled
They went back to Spartacus. You guys didn't see that part? Uh,
through.
but
You didn't realize this was a remake of an original 1950s Kirk Douglas movie?
yeah. Y'all should have read. Oh, man, you got to do the research.
You
No,
gotta do the research. Gotta do the research, man. Can't skip on the research.
I'm not wrong. You do the research. No, but no, it was cool, and it brought me back to the time where those movies had those certain tropes in it that I miss and love, and realize I grew up on. Like every movie has a love story, no matter what the genre. There's a love story in a commercial movie, and going, oh yeah, okay, this works, and I'm watching it, and it's fun, and like you said, it's tightly wound, and it's tightly scripted and plotted, and there weren't
Mhm.
any. I expected to have cringe moments, but I didn't cringe at all. I was like, oh yeah, this is fun. I was expecting some kind of
Um,
cringy dialogue or something.
well, it was interesting how little dialogue is in this movie actually compared to
Mhm.
big action movies. Like there's whole sequences, maybe not sequences, but definitely like action points where they're just not talking. Things are happening. It's not like it's boring, but it's just like minimal amount of dialogue. It's really interesting to kind of pay attention to that. I'm actually not sure how I felt about it watching it this time, but I appreciated definitely appreciate the 90s ness of it. It's very like big sweeping music, and it's a
Mhm.
story that tries to have a little bit of everything. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like random slapsticky comedy moments or very broad comic moments right before like the most dangerous, you know,
Mm.
dire moment. The cringe moments for me were like in the storytelling, not in the acting or in any specific scene, but like just, oh man, the pyramids had to be built by an alien god. It's like, yeah, man. And I know that's what he's doing. He's doing a conspiracy kind of movie. He's playing on that. But that's just something stood out to me. And then the love story is like the slave girl. It's like, okay, they fall in love.
She was bad
She
though.
was like, she was like giving herself to him. She was given to him and then gave herself to him. That's the arc there.
Yeah, that was
So
uncomfortable.
so that's a
Definitely.
little thing. And then just like the people, it was like they get there and these people are like, there's a couple black people, there's a couple potentially Arab actors, but it's like just a mess of what they're supposed to represent there. So, but it's still it's still a fun movie.
Hmm.
Very, it's very silly at times, like the setup with the linguist guy, James Spader, you know. But it was fine. But it's worth mentioning. This is a huge franchise. This is a huge franchise. Um, Even though there's only one movie that got made, and there's a whole rights thing about that. I tried to read it, and I was like, I don't even need to know all this right now. But then there's 3 TV shows. The first one did 10 seasons. Stargate SG-1, which Mom was just talking about.
Hmm.
Stargate Atlantis did 5 or 6. Then there was a Stargate Universe that did like 2. A web series is the most recent thing. They did in 2018. No, they did do 2 other movies that were direct to video, direct to video movies. So it's 3 movies, video games, an animated series. Like
Wow.
there's a bunch of video games because they did handheld games and then console games and then a pinball game and then there was a simulation game online in the 2000s. Like this is a massive, massive franchise. So
Mm.
massive, in fact, that it's like, where is it now? If
Yeah.
MGM's sitting on these rights, like get off your tush,
Hmm.
put some more Stargate into the world. Like there's obviously money, and it had a huge fandom, a huge cult fandom too. They used to do a Stargate convention.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they had one just last year, and it's kind of irregular because it's just hard to organize a single convention like that. But so they still do Stargate conventions for diehard fans. So
Wow.
Yeah,
there's definitely potential there.
I
Sitting
would
on gold.
say I would definitely say if you like went to like a comic convention, a larger comic convention anywhere, it's not going to be too long before you walk into the like Stargate cosplayers who are in like the kind of military uniform from
Hmm.
Yeah.
that show, or you know,
Hmm.
Jason Momoa was in Stargate Atlantis, so
Oh
he still
wow.
has like a
One of
fan
his like,
base, one of
yeah,
his early roles. So he still has a
yeah.
fan base from there and that character. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. And it was one of the things I thought of while watching it, that it is such a big franchise and yet only has one movie. And the rest of
One
the franchise,
theatrical movie. Now that we
Mhm.
know that,
right. Of course, some TV movies,
yeah,
but like within the series. Um,
right.
and it is interesting because the series is different, slightly. It's certainly an adaptation, and it changes some of the things that are in the movie. So it is interesting that it birthed a whole franchise that's like kind of a tangential spinoff.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And this was at a time that it came out. Movies were like the big money makers, right? It was like, oh man, to
Mm-hmm.
go from movie to TV must not have felt like an upgrade. Um,
That's interesting. This is probably one of the first to do that. This and Highlander.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Highlander definitely had its own. It built on the kind of the world of it all in TV.
right.
Right.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
wonder. That's fascinating. I don't even remember much of the series. Uh, I take it was like mission of the week kind of thing,
Definitely.
where so similar to Star Trek, maybe Star Trek.
I would say so similar to that with kind of maybe some some what is the word, serialized elements, like, kind of villain of the season sort of deal.
So so what were they doing on the show in terms like was it
So
all around ancient Egypt and they had to I actually don't know.
yeah, so it was interesting in the sense that they kind of made the ancient Egypt aliens, quote unquote, kind of one race within kind of a larger universe, and all of these different higher aliens or whatever had at one point visited Earth in the past via their various stargates, and they form,
Mm-hmm.
and so like each mythology on Earth was this various alien race that had communicated to Earth in our past through a
Sure.
stargate. That's kind of how they expanded on it and kept it going for however many seasons, almost 15 seasons, I guess, of different shows.
So they were exploring different alien races
Yeah,
in the show. Hmm.
that was I didn't I saw a fair amount of it, but
Mhm.
I can't say if it was only alien races. But yeah, it seemed to be like other alien interdimensional beings, like kind of like whatever you could reach through a Stargate, like kind of the
Right.
portal in space kind of genre.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it feels like so it's built for that many spin-offs. It's built to just keep creating stories. Um, and in fact, I before watching it, I looked up the script just to see what it looked like, who wrote it, and uh, the end of the script ends pretty similarly to the movie, but it just ends with a ending part one, and
Mm.
so it teases a bigger universe,
Hmm.
a bigger like series,
Interesting.
which was like, okay, this makes sense. Like that cash in the chips. Let's keep running the money counter. Let's make it happen.
I
I
mean,
did read.
definitely ahead of the game. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I did read earlier that like the writer had always envisioned it as like at least a trilogy, which is interesting to think of. Like, yeah, what could it have been? What would that
Yeah,
version have been?
yeah, because they left James Spader,
Yeah,
which which
with his slave wife,
yeah, with his slave wife.
who of course
Right.
was also like the fairest skinned person in the whole
Yeah,
a, alien human race or whatever.
Mhm.
that
Of
stood out to
course.
me too, for sure.
Yeah. I think they'd come back in the actual movie if they ever come back to see James Spader. He's there and he's the god now. And he's not letting nobody read, just like the other guy was. He just turned all powerful, you know? He's like, I was a
Yeah.
nerd where I'm from, but over here,
Right.
Wow. Oh my
mhm.
God. And then it's all
Yeah.
about stopping him because he's got Ra's power. Oh man. It writes
Woo.
itself.
It writes
It
itself.
writes itself.
We don't need a
Devlin
script.
Devlin said, man, I can't find it now, but that this movie was about Egyptian, right? Egyptian mythology. And the next one, he said it was supposed to be about some other mythology. I can't find it right now. I should have highlighted it or something. And then the third one was bringing those, like combining all the mythologies together
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
and blowing it up that way. So he definitely had a plan, like you said. He knew what he
Right.
wanted to do. They just didn't let him do it. They just didn't let him do it.
I just never let him do it.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, that would have been an interesting thing to have seen. You know,
For sure.
I think there's some like, because you mentioned Spader, and I also think that that led to it because I've been watching The Blacklist just kind of as a background show around the house. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I think that definitely also had something to do with it, where it's like, man, I'm in sci-fi mode. What's up with Stargate? You know?
Sure.
Right. Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a interesting. It does point to like something bigger. But I also thought it was like cool to see as many like I forgot Jaimin Hansu was in this. You know,
Yeah.
like there's a bunch of stuff like that.
Wait, who? John who?
Jaimin Hansu, he's like
Oh,
one of the like
yeah.
guard dudes.
Yeah, that's right. He got killed early.
Yeah, man.
No, he didn't
First,
get killed early. He got killed brutally.
He got killed quick. When the fighting started, it was quick.
yeah, for
But he
sure.
wasn't there for a while. He was like one of the guards. And he had a lot of close-ups, so I'm sure that was good for him at the time.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely. Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. Now this reminds me, it feels like that time because what didn't the mummy come out around then? And
Uh, Mommy would have been 99. Because
okay.
the guy who plays the chief, Eric Avari, he's definitely in the Mummy too. He's like the librarian dude in the beginning of the Mummy.
Yeah, Mummy's 99.
Right.
So I
Right.
feel
So
like this
in a
might
way,
have,
they're around the same time.
yeah, I feel like this
Definitely.
is around that same things are going on in the zeitgeist, right?
That kind of like pre-internet, like, hey, this could be real. Who knows? Who knows? And just run with it off of a forum or something, some AOL chat, being like, "Yo, I heard aliens created the
Well,
pyramids."
is it any different really? Especially the Mummy, especially, but is it that much different than a vampire movie or a werewolf movie or any other creature from popular imagination, right? Frosty the Snowman. It's like we have
Mm-hmm.
these tales and we tell different versions of these tales.
Mm-hmm.
And the late 1900s to now is tales are told through movies.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the movie version of the tale of mummies, of the tales of the building of the pyramids.
Yeah, I think the only difference is that mummies are real and like it comes from a real culture and it comes from like
Yeah,
mummies meaning people were mummified and buried in that way and the pyramids are real, like all these things are real, so then they
sure.
come to like Africa and go, no, 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 there's some mystic something happening here, let's run
Right,
with it and create this crazy stories with the little information that we have, as opposed to vampires and all this other stuff that are
right,
created. You know what I mean?
right. Or they have a basis in reality, a lot of them, but they're not a whole people. It's
Yeah.
like the story of the witch or this
Right.
guy who lived in the outskirts of town who drank blood or was a cannibal. He's a werewolf. You know what I mean? Where
Mm-hmm.
this is
Mm-hmm.
like the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians,
Mm-hmm. All of them.
which is a different, which is a different thing. I don't know. It's not sure what to make of this movie, but it's also like kind of two, maybe three movies in one, which is amazing how they kept it just to 2 hours, and not
Mm-hmm.
2.5, 3 hours. Because it's first is the story of Daniel, this linguist. I mean, skipping ahead from the prologue where they're like the 1920s or whatever. But it's like him and then being recruited to unlock these mysteries. That could be one movie,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe somebody's trying to stop him from doing it. It could all happen on Earth. That could be one movie. And then there's a movie where they go they use a Stargate. So like in another kind of action movie, it would start with the team together and we would kind of learn about them through their interactions.
Mm.
But they're going through the Stargate in like the first 10 minutes. Like that's a whole separate movie. And then there's kind of a third movie that is maybe a second, but the third movie is this epic fight against Ra and his people and this magical, all-powerful being, and then the slaves of this world that they travel to. So it kind of made it, it's kind of 3 movies in one, which I think accounts for like the pacing of it and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's impressive in that way where I want to go. Come on, y'all, we got to get back to this 2-hour movie. That's actually 3 movies in one.
Right.
Come on, you can't tell me that it takes you 3.5 hours to make a movie that's just one story. They did
That's
it.
a
They
good
did
point.
3 in 1.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
That's a really interesting point.
Because it's like the linguist, the James Spader character. How long do you really want to be just with him? You know?
Right.
Exactly. He's he's not that. You don't want to get bored of him. You're like, okay, I get
Yeah.
it. He's a professor. All right, we're moving.
Yeah, he's kind of a weirdo professor, but they also made it where he has no life on Earth, so there's no reason to follow him. He doesn't have like, I got to get back to see my kid's soccer game. You know, there's nothing like that with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kurt Russell's character also has no life on Earth. He's just a soldier,
Mm-hmm.
and he's so kind of, you know, it's so clear who he is really early on that. Like, how much time do you want to spend with him? We just need to hit it and keep moving, keep moving. Who's next? Who's next?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's funny though. As far I do think it moves very fast, but then I felt like, you know, one of the things that we talked about in Minority Report was like this kind of tragic child backstory of
Yeah,
the hero. And this one had one too, but I was actually like, I felt like they accomplished more with less scenes about it in this movie,
yeah,
but actually just like having it have some sort of emotional stake as opposed to trying to be a plot point.
yeah.
I mean, it's always a plot point, but you know what I mean?
This movie was kind of told like an oral tradition, and I think it largely works. Like it's entertaining and it keeps moving. It has a fast pace, but it's not. You don't really feel like you're missing anything else. But it's like a bedtime story. Like, hey, so what's this guy? And then he found these hieroglyphics, and then the hieroglyphics, they open a Stargate. So then a bunch of soldiers and him, they go into the Stargate, and it's like, oh, I'll finish it tomorrow before bed, you know. But you got to keep heightening and raising and introducing a new world. You can't linger in like there's this linguist, and when he was a child, he was bullied. And his
Mm-hmm.
he loves this other professor, but she doesn't love him. She doesn't.
Mhm.
So then he has these you know, you can't kind of live in it so much. It's just kind of like bang, bang, bang.
Truly, it's comforting in that way. It's like, oh yeah, I remember these movies where you're just like, all right, the movie's done and I'm done with it. I'm like, okay, great, fun. That was a fun ride. I got some action. I got some romance. I got some suspense. I got some fake science. That's
Mhm.
all I need. Just give me the McDonald's toys and I'm ready to go.
So
Yeah.
what was?
As you,
Go ahead, B.
I was gonna say, as you guys are talking about it, it's just like it's striking me, man, how 90s it was, how 90s sci-fi it is. I mean, it almost sounds like we're described like I'm thinking like books and sci-fi stories that were going on at that time, and it sounds like we're describing something, and it felt very like Michael Crichton-y. You know what I mean? Like just like the injection of like a modern military or government apparatus with embedded scholar. You know what I mean? Involved in this weird sci-fi like thing like Jurassic Park or I think
Yeah.
Timeline, which is like time travel and stuff like that. So it
But
felt very 90s. Sorry.
what was the story of Ra in this movie?
Mhm. Rob being the bad guy that turns out to be an
Yeah.
alien that they're all
Ex-
worshiping?
yeah.
That's a great
Explain
question.
explain his origin for people listening.
Sure. So, and they kind of accomplish it in a really quick, like, bit of like exposition, but like basically he's a alien from a dying race, the last one. He wants to be immortal. He finds some young boy in ancient Egypt and like possesses his body.
So
And
they
then
traveled to Earth.
he, yeah, he like travels to Earth at,
Mhm.
as he's like I guess like looking, as he's like dying and looking for a way to save himself. He's just traveling through the galaxy. Um Back in whatever the distant past.
Mm.
And then he's been ruling like a god ever since. He was overthrown on Earth though, because it seems like maybe Earth wasn't his capital. He was trying to run Earth from like wherever he was there.
Hmm.
So Earth was overthrown, and that's why they found the Stargate buried.
So he took over this boy's body
I think so, yeah.
and then
Yes.
became the king, made himself the king.
Mhm.
But the people revolted. It says humans on Earth revolted, overthrew Ra's overseers. So that's what you were saying. He had people looking out here
Mhm.
while he was where? Where was he? On another
I mean,
planet?
he wasn't on this planet in the beginning of the alien planet that we go to. He wasn't on it until about halfway through the movie. So I
Like,
assume
what
that
else did he have to do?
Ra
Where
is
was he
moving
going?
around.
Yeah. Why was he?
He's got
So they
moves to
overthrew,
make,
and then
man.
yeah, he did. But then at the end, he was like, he was talking about the things he got from Earth or from being human.
Mm.
I can't really remember the significance of that. But then he wanted to destroy Earth. He was like, it's interesting because he was like, I created you. Now I want to destroy you. But what did he create if he took a human's body? Did you get
Yeah.
that in the movie?
No, I remember hearing that and not fully. That was one of those like sci-fi mumbo jumbo where I was like, all right, whatever, let's just get to the fight.
Mhm.
That's where I was. But I guess he created the religion that they follow, and he created maybe the. I mean, they weren't even in the temples or anything. It was just him and his guards. That's it.
Well, it was
So,
weird because he he took the body because human bodies extend his own life. Then he took a bunch of those people to this planet, Abydos, to mine the mineral that is used in alien technology. Basically, vibranium,
Right.
alien
mhm.
vibranium or something.
Yeah. What's the one
But what's
from what's the one
unobt-
from Avatar?
unobtainium?
Unobtainium? Yes.
So basically, well, what was also funny is when they went to this Abydos planet, they were still living like ancient Egyptians pretty much. But he clearly had advanced technology. He had like a ship. His guards had these like animal Egyptian looking masks that in 1994 CGI just like wrapped off around them like an Iron Man suit or something.
Mhm.
Which I thought was a cool piece of like technology to see in a movie just for them to think of that back then. But why didn't those people, you know, they had a whole city, but they lived primitively, which is basically to say like without electricity.
Mhm.
But he had all this technology. Wow, they should have had a more advanced society. Is all I'm saying. But you get why, because the movie and it's supposed to be the ancient Egyptians, and it's mapping that. So when they go to the planet, they have to embody that for the viewer. That these are Egyptians stuck in time as slaves or whatever.
I think I remember at one point they also said something to the effect that like after Earth revolted, he like cracked down on the rest of the planets under his control. So like
Mm,
that he might be actively keeping them at a certain level of
yeah,
technology or whatever.
yeah. Can't risk it for the biscuit.
Those humans already did it. You know what I mean? I thought it kind of felt like one of those just big villain moments, right? I created you, I'll take you out. I think it's kind of like one of those tropes of just kind of pop culture understanding of history that Egypt is like the first human civilization. There were
Right.
others, or at least
Mhm.
proto civilizations, though Egypt is very, very old, incredibly so. But it's just kind of that idea of like, I gave you, like, I discovered you as like a lowly creature, and I gave you this gift of civilization, and I'll take it back. And it is a very kind of, even in that 19th century where we were talking about, it's a very like imperial sort of idea, like an old idea of like the value of humanity, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. What they also did was when they arrived in this planet and meet the natives for basically what they are at this point, how they always like, this being written by white guys, it's like they're talking down to the natives who have a whole civilization, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you don't understand what I'm saying. Oh, and then the natives are like mimicking them, but like it's just in a numbers game. Like there's more of you, you need to learn their culture. They don't need to learn yours. And then all of a sudden, at some point, Daniel, our linguist, was just speaking with them. He just knew. I guess because he
Mhm.
studied it, but it was funny. It took him so long to be like, oh, I can just speak this language. But all of a sudden, he was
Mhm.
just speaking it.
I know. The fastest way to learn a language is to have a romantic partner that speaks that language. So he learned real quick to communicate with that one.
Oh man, he knew that and he planned for it. This is survival skill 101.
Truly.
When I'm lost in a someplace, fall in love.
Exactly. No, but that is so uh like you're saying, Aaron, that just exemplifies what it's like to be in like an American, I guess, just being anywhere in the world in general. Like the negative
Yeah,
stereotype is the coming in being like, what's going on? How come nothing is in English? And it's
yeah,
like you are in a different culture, different country, and you can't even accept that they don't have 24 hours McDonald's and Subways. Like what's like this is just a different world. Accept it. You walk through a portal, Kurt Douglas. Like figure out you're gonna be in a different place, you know?
Damn,
yeah.
Kirk Douglas.
Spartacus, come on, man, get your act together.
Get your
Get
act
your act
together.
together, Kirk.
Uh, no, one thing I did appreciate about the movie in that regard, and I do think this movie has some really problematic ideas of like race, ethnicity, color, and all, and so many other things like that. But I did appreciate that at no point did any of the people from that planet who were supposed to be these ancient Egyptians, like none of them ever spoke English. I was like, that's kind of, I'm surprised at that. I'm surprised at the choice to like have a whole like ancient Egyptian language consultant and like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
teach a bunch of actors how to say those lines rather than just, you know, 10
Big
minutes
come
into
out speak
the
English.
thing,
Yeah,
everybody can speak English, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a,
It's
that's a
interesting.
respectable detail. That's true.
that was interesting, but also, yeah, like, watching it with closed captioning on, like, even the closed caption, like, refers to the people as like natives, right? Like natives cheer, things like that. So it's like, that doesn't feel good.
It's interesting, and there was or the use of a magical translation device. Like Yeah, we can't understand you. Drink this, and then you can understand us, and we can understand.
Right.
They kept
Yeah.
they kept that going the whole movie.
Like Ra has some sort of magical technological thing, and everybody speaks the same language suddenly.
Yeah,
Mhm. It's true.
Um,
Ross should have spoke alien. There should have been something else.
there should have been. Oh man, wow, that would have been wild.
yeah. If Rod didn't speak English too, it was
Mhm.
maybe too tough
Yeah,
to
they're
spell
already
out in a movie like this. You know,
they're
but
already
it's
accomplishing
interesting.
so much. You got 3 movies in this one. Now you can't have 3 different languages.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like how would you make that recognizable?
Right.
You know what I mean? Other than to put it
Mhm.
in captions and say alien language. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. It would have to sound different as well to make it.
How
Maybe it would.
how alien would it have to be? You know what I mean? It's just
Mhm.
Yeah.
beeps and whistles. It's
Yeah.
incredibly threatening.
High pitched
Oh
whistles.
man, that made me think. I'm waiting for somebody to do an alien language that's beatboxing. You know, they're like, "Hi, how are you?" And they're like, "Oh, what?" It's like, what? That's the language. It's so rhythmic. Beautiful.
I
We
mean,
got we got Mark here in the back. He's from the Bronx. Can you translate what they're saying? I can't translate it, but I can spit some bars. Go ahead, ask him to say something. And he's like, yo, yo, yo.
But in their language, that actually is the communication.
It somehow works. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it
perfect
just
communication.
works. You just got to spit bars on it, and you just know what the other person was trying to tell you.
Once they hear him rapping, they're like, oh, yeah. And then the Americans are like, hey, hey. Oh my God. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
We finally get it. Put your guns down. Just
And then like the nerd character's like, let me try. My name is Steve. And I'm here. And they're like, boo, boo.
Boo.
Easy jokes. Easy jokes.
easy.
Full 8 Mile moment.
It's, yeah. It's like the dorky white guy. They're like, get out of here, Steve. I can rap. And then Steve raps at the end to save the day somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. It keeps the alien from destroying Earth.
Mhm.
He's like, Steve, you got to help us. And he's like, back in the shadows in my. It's like, well, Steve, where did you get these bars, man? Where did you get these bars?
There's been so many montages in that movie leading up to that point.
Get back
Nobody
to
want to
Earth.
rap. Nobody's
Gets
want.
a record.
Yeah, he gets a. It ends the movie like he gets a record deal. The Earth is saved.
Yeah, with the aliens.
Steve.
But before you go to credits, you have like that, like those epilogues, and it says his album never sold.
Dang.
once he
Steve,
said, once
Steve
the
can't
aliens are
win.
gone, you don't need to entertain that garbage anymore.
Steve can't win.
No, I was whack. Thanks for saving us.
We appreciate it.
Steve
Then
had
they got to
one
pull him
hot
out of
16 in
retirement.
him.
Yeah.
Steve had one hot 16 in him. And that's all he had. He didn't have a whole song, just one hot 16.
Yeah. He never went further than that.
Could have been somebody.
What did you
That's it.
guys think of the villain? I thought, like Ra as a character within the story, you know, pretty regular villain, but I thought Jay Davidson, the actor, did a really good job. They were like very, very threatening. And
Yeah, to look like a 16-year-old
for sure.
heartthrob to also be kind of menacing. Yeah.
Oh,
For sure. Like very slight, very pretty person, right? Like incredibly so. And it's like, but yeah, is like has like this, and very like small too. You know what I mean? Or at least it looked
Right.
like so.
Yeah.
So
Kind
it's
of
like
wispy.
what is like
yeah,
pretty great performance, I thought.
truly, and like physically embodied this kind of like like waif, like intimidating. The movements were a little like off-putting,
Mhm.
and yeah, it worked. He's intimidating and
Well,
powerful.
I'm wondering, this person's not really an actor, Jay Davidson.
Oh
Really only
no.
has like 4 credits. This
Yeah,
wasn't there,
I
or for
saw.
whatever reason, you know.
Yeah, I saw somewhere online reading about it that they retired, or I think he is his pronouns, but I'll just stick with they. But that Jay Davidson had retired from acting not long after this. That just not was not liking the amount of fame or how or the fame that they were getting.
Wow.
Sure.
Okay.
But great job, and also in a movie called The Crying Game, which kind of connects back to us doing Interview with the Vampire, because I think it was that director's movie that they did right before Interview with the Vampire.
Mm. Oh wow.
The same
Okay.
director from Interview with a Vampire
Yeah,
did The Crying Game.
did The Crying Game.
Wow. They were
Yeah.
definitely in their bag
Truly, truly
at that
Definitely.
time.
hit after hit. No, yeah, Jay was an incredible. Their career is like if those are the movies in your thing before you retire, that's like awesome. Crime Game, Stargate, you almost have like a Chris Tucker type career where only made hits.
Only
I
hits.
could I could see that is like maybe, if you're young, too soon. Crying Game was like a big indie hit
Yeah.
in '92. And this was obviously a huge blockbuster. So get it. It's not for everybody. And it's really pretty, you know, pretty dangerous, actually,
Hmm.
Mm,
fame as a thing. So
For sure. For sure.
I do wonder, what they're doing now, though, just in a
Yeah.
general sense. You always wonder where people go.
For sure.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I thought the kind of the imperial expressions kind of were like very effective. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ra definitely seemed like he was not with anything just at all, just unentertained by anything.
No, definitely. Like
Truly.
definitely conveys that image of like the child king that you always hear about in Egypt
Mm.
or King Tut. It's like so pampered and taken care of, but cold and ruthless, right?
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. Maybe like
Yeah,
physically weak
Um,
in the body,
yeah,
but
that's a great
powerful.
point. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that's a great point. It really is interesting. I think you saying talking about mummies and mummy movies. I never really thought about this as a mummy movie, but I do feel like it's kind of a sci-fi interpretation of that too, right? Like the evil pharaoh kind of trope. You know what I mean? That's like immortal and still exerting control. I never really caught that before, but I think there's something there for sure. Like sci-fi instead of magic,
Hmm. Hmm.
like same trope.
yeah. Anything else about this movie
Uh,
you just thought about? I mean, anything before
so
we get
Pat,
into a little bit of casting.
yeah, I guess one last thing that I thought about while watching it was like Patrick Tatopoulos is like the creature designer on this movie, I
Hmm.
think, or one of, and he went on to do like I think a lot of movies with Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich, so like Independence Day and everything, but and Godzilla. I think the Underworld movies, just a lot of kind of the creature features out there. He's like one of those guys who's like kind of like on the Stan Winston and K and
Mm.
B, like those kind of creature feature folks. So check out his work if you like that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely.
wonder if they're still doing that kind of stuff now. So much CGI now. I wonder what movies are using anything real, anything physical for the creation of, any kind of creature or anything. I hope that's not a dead art form. I hope that's still going along.
No.
People are still doing that.
If people are
feel
still
like-
shooting on film, they're still going to be hopefully using practical effects.
I feel like a lot of the zombie things are the things that utilize that most these days.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, I gotta imagine. The Walking Dead on TV.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotta be.
Oh,
Or kind of, I guess, any low budget horror is probably
Yeah.
dabbling.
Yeah.
still using
Where are
those
the
effects.
creatures? When was the last time we had a creature? Big old creature that would,
Yeah, that's a
like,
great question.
What's that John
something that-
Krasinski movie? I felt like that had a creature, but I
The
don't think
Office?
that.
The Office, the movie?
Yeah, The Office, the movie. An amazing creature
the
feature.
The Quiet Place.
Yeah, that was
Is that
kind
it?
of creaturey, but like it had a creature, but I don't feel like it was like all digital. You didn't really get a chance to see it, right? It was kept
Mm-hmm.
Well, that movie,
mysterious.
Prey. Did you see that? Prey. It was
Oh yeah.
Predator
Right, for-
prequel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there had to
That's-
be a mix in that one because that wasn't like a lower budget deal.
Definitely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Predator movies in general, probably a big franchise within that whole creature feature space.
Yeah.
Mm. I mean, you go to any amusement park, they got the creatures out. So they've got all the
Nah, man, that's all AI. None of that's real.
and what am I paying this money for? To see all this
I
AI.
touched it though. it was I took a picture with it. Nah, man. You didn't.
No,
My
no, you
hand
didn't.
squeaked on the rubber. No, that didn't happen.
No. Even the camera was AI.
Yeah.
What? No.
Augmented reality projection, buddy.
Mhm. Let's do a quick casting. There's not really much to do here.
Yeah, I only
Or
got
you could do as much
3.
as you had wanted to,
Yeah, I didn't really have much. I had 3 too.
Yeah, I went 3.
I really just focused on the top 2. Just kept it like that. So I'll be interested to hear who your third is. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do the James Spader,
Oh yeah.
the linguist,
The linguist, Daniel.
the kind of hero of the film.
The single
Who you guys
linguist.
I had Donald Glover.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Come on,
That's solid. I picked the Mighty Most Def.
Mm.
I think he'd kill it.
Are
Being
you
like
shooting
a
this
little-
now or
Yeah,
2000s?
we could shoot it in
Okay.
2000s too, but either one. Now,
I'll go with. Let me think. There's like a name on the tip of my brain that I can't pull it all the way forward.
Coleman Domingo.
You know
Other
what?
one?
Colton Dunn. Let's switch it. The homie Colton Dunn. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, Colton Dunn. Superstore and a bunch of other stuff. Kurt Russell.
I went Common.
Yep.
Because of AI. You got comments too?
No, I almost went with him. I was this close. I went
Wow.
with LL. Gotta go with Ladies
Mm.
Love Cool James.
Why?
Gotta get the-
Is
he could
it-
do it today, he could do it back then.
What is the? Why was it a rap? Why did you both choose rappers for that role? That's interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
This feels like one of those movies that would be made with rappers in it, you know?
And also, those 2 rappers are also, I feel like, actors who like do those sort of roles too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's such a
Like,
type. It's like
Of like
nerd.
military?
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
feel like isn't LL's been on like that NCIS thing for like
Mhm.
show.
Yeah,
No
but isn't he like the
disrespect,
cool
but-
guy? Isn't he like the cool, like kind
I've
of
never
cop.
watched it.
Me neither. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Nah, he
No,
he for
no
sure is.
disrespect. I just haven't
Yeah, no
watched it.
disrespect. It's just
Definitely no
watched.
disrespect. Nah, he for sure plays those roles. Just look at him. He's like he is,
Yeah.
Kurt Russell, just
Mm.
playing that silent, deadly type. You know what I mean?
Kurt Russell
No,
definitely had a
I
type.
don't. Russell
He-
definitely did. I don't know if LL is in that category, but
Oh man.
uh,
Escape from New
I
York.
wouldn't say it wouldn't work
LL as Snake
with LL.
Plissken.
Hey, yo, let me out of jail, son. What you talking about? I'm the GOAT. That's a horrible LL. I don't know an LL impression. I'm gonna go with Ray Fisher, Cyborg.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Cyborg in Justice League. Yeah. Go with Ray. Big Ray. All right, who's the third one you got?
Ra.
Same.
Oh, yeah. Oh, let me think of a Ra. Okay, who you got for Ra?
Zendaya.
Ooh,
Oh, is it Zendaya or Zendaya? Do we know?
I don't know. I have said both a lot.
that's a great question. Yeah, I'd say Zendaya is the right away where my head goes, but it's not based on any fact. It's just
Yeah.
feels like a Zendaya.
ZD?
Zendaya.
No? ZD? Can we get
ZD
her
sounds like a ZD is a little too close to VD. It sounds a
Yeah,
little too.
it definitely sounds like a little bit
Okay.
like a
Yeah.
something you
I guess
might
she's
wanna-
she's a single name person anyway. Zendaya.
Yeah, we don't even know her last name.
Honestly, I
have no
can't think
idea.
of it.
Jackson Williams.
Yeah, Zendaya
Something
Jackson.
super black
McGillicuddy.
for sure.
Zendaya Jefferson. Yeah, okay, that's a great choice. I want to go with yours.
Who's
But if
yours?
Zendaya is not available, I'm going.
Zendaya, Marie Stomer Coleman. It is Coleman. Zendaya Coleman.
Wow, Zendaya Coleman. Okay, she's
Zendaya
in.
Marie
man.
Stormer Coleman.
Black people
Known
have the
when-
most English names in the world. We've talked about
For
this
sure.
many times.
For sure. So proper English. All right, Amon, who did you get for
I went with
Ra?
Lil Nas X.
Mm.
I think he turned it into it's. If we're gonna go full '90s, he's also doing the
He might
music
be good.
video.
Yeah, I
Like,
kind of fuck with that.
yeah,
He might
yeah.
be good. He might be good, actually.
He would
Yeah.
kill. He would kill this one.
I would
I'ma
hope that they
go-
make it a little bit let them make that character a little bit more colorful. If you got Lil Nas X in there,
Oh,
don't
have
skip
to.
that
give him a little
opportunity.
give him some. I'm gonna go Victor Wembanyama, the 7'5" NBA rookie is gonna be my Egyptian space alien body god. When he took over this kid's body, when they melded, it made him super tall.
Okay.
7 feet 5 inches to be exact. And I'm gonna put this giant.
Yeah.
You gotta come see. Look, if you're in Roland Emmerich's state of mind, you're a Ringling brother.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta get the spectacle. So I'm even gonna cast the spectacle. A black Frenchman. He already has a kind of stoic face because he's an athlete, and athletes always kind of like, just like the public persona. He also has a really unique look. If you look him up, like his face, like it's a good looking kid, but he has like a really, I don't know, real kind of ancient face, sculptural, how it goes,
Mm-hmm.
And he's
Yeah.
super tall and super skinny, so it's really a real unique shape. This is
Yeah.
the same reason they used to put like Andre the Giant in movies, or Wilt Chamberlain. It's like, hey, biggest people on the planet on
Right.
the biggest screen you can see. He should be in the Avatar. James Cameron, put this man in blue. You don't even need to CGI him. He's just there.
Yeah,
Put him in blue.
It makes me think about like Darth Vader and Chewbacca. Those were like super tall guys, and like the actor that played the alien in Alien, like back then
Mhm.
they used to just have like real tall guys playing like big
Yeah,
alien.
you just put him in
characters.
there.
Good.
George Murasan did a couple movies. My Giant with Billy Crystal. George Murasan was an NBA player who was 7'7", even taller,
Whoa.
but much less mobile. He had like issues, didn't play long. Yao Ming has never been in a movie. Why has Yao Ming never been in a movie? He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do
He
it.
doesn't
Yao
want to do
Ming's
it.
not a.
Yeah.
He's not a big public. He doesn't want to be all up in the. But somebody should have put Yao Ming in a movie. Shaq's been in a bunch of movies. Kareem is 7'3".
Sure.
He's been in a bunch of movies.
For sure.
It is in Victor Wembanyama's future to be in a movie.
Oh, yeah, guaranteed. He's getting offers all the time.
You heard it here
And
first.
exactly. Let's shoot this offer to him. So you want to do the Stargate
Yeah.
Atlanta, make it work. Just have a full black cast.
Love it.
But if it was a
Alright.
true 90s movie, it would have to be Victor Wembanyama with like a Danny DeVito. You know what I mean? Like the contrast. You need the, with Kevin Hart. It'd have to be Victor and Kevin Hart.
What you could do is like me and Victor. And I'm in like a town and I'm like the tallest guy. And I'm like, oh, the tallest guy. And then Victor comes in and he makes me look normal, but I make everybody else look small. So he
Right.
makes me look small, makes everybody else look tiny, and then I'm threatened by his height. I'm like, I was the tallest guy. Who was this guy? There's some kind of competition that happens. It's the annual city basketball tournament. I've been dominating for 20 years. I'm just taller than everybody in this short town. We're in East LA. It's just me, a bunch of Asians and Mexicans. And then Victor moves in. I can't beat this guy. But then we team up and we go to the 3-on-3 tournament in Venice Beach where there's other tall people. And we have to win that.
Whew. It writes itself.
Is
It's written itself.
Is this a separate movie than your Stargate starring Victor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and Victor.
When Amon said it's like a Danny DeVito Victor movie, then we started talking about a different kind of 90s like whimsical movie.
Gotcha. I also thought there was a possibility it was all connected.
We could go to an alien planet and play giant. I mean, this is Space Jam 3.
Yeah.
Victor Wembanyama in Space Jam 3. The aliens, it's a super tall race of aliens, but he's the same height as them. They need yo, bro. This is beyond.
Yeah, don't give all the gold away right now.
You are an exec, either, which there are no that listen to this, but you either need to erase the last 30 seconds from your brain. You need to call us up.
Yeah, exactly. No, if this is Stargate with two tall you and Victor, just go back to the time when was it James Naismith invented basketball, and then become the god of basketball.
There's no money in 1888.
You're right.
He's in the right time. He's making all the money now. He's gonna get $1 billion contract. He's gonna get $1 billion contract before 2030.
Wow.
Like guaranteed. The guy in the offseason signed a $300 million contract. Like $1 billion is right around the corner.
That's wild.
It is. It's insane.
I do want to see the Victor Wembanyama movie that he has to go like back in time and stop like Naismith or whatever. Like it's like a race against time.
Victor Wembanyama kills Hitler.
Right.
Stalin or
Leopold. It's a series.
Yeah, it's a series.
You gotta get off the pod and start writing it.
Genghis Khan.
He has to stop David.
Whoa.
Then he's the myth of Goliath. It's Quantum Leap.
Exactly. He's just hoping that the next leap will be the leap home.
It will be the leap back home. He's got a game at 8. He's got to get back and play for the Spurs before time runs out. They're trying to win it's a big game. It's a championship game or something, all-star game or something. He's got to get back, man. Great. Stargate, fun movie, man. Fun movie. I might even dabble in some Stargate SG-1 in the first series because Now I am interested in how they continue the storyline. I'll at least read some of the Wikipedia page if I can't find it or don't make the time to watch it. But
Yeah, I think it's on definitely one of the streamers. I'm pretty sure.
very, very interesting franchise. And Roland Emmerich, a master of the three-ring circus. You know,
Hmm.
there's a word I'm trying to think of that I cannot think of. Oh man, I'll never
Showman,
think
the
of it.
greatest showman, Roland Emmerich.
Roland Emmerich, the greatest showman. Yeah. Oh man, I really am interested. He just did a movie Snowfall about I think a comet or asteroid coming to
Oh,
Earth.
that's him. I definitely keep
Yeah.
seeing like that, like cover image or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Moonfall was it Moonfall.
Moonfall, not Snow.
Mhm.
Did I say Snowfall?
You
I meant
said
Moonfall.
I was like Snowfall. That would be hilarious if he directed an episode of that. Oh,
Got
watch it.
drugs in LA. These drugs are gonna start the
Uh.
apocalypse, something like that.
Mhm.
I was gonna say it's interesting if he does something like related to like COVID and misinformation, and I mean he should do the January 6th movie.
Oh my god, be like a
Whew.
ancient
Maybe that's not epic
conspiracy
enough for him.
from
Yeah,
the beginning of the founders or
he's
whatever.
got to tie in like big Illuminati. Oh, big Illuminati movie. He's got to do it.
I'm
Oh
surprised
yeah.
he hasn't done a big Illuminati movie because
Yeah.
he knows they take him out.
He
Mhm.
didn't want to risk it. He didn't want to risk it. He played it safe.
Nah.
Smart man. He's a smart man.
He's staying out of it. He's staying out of it.
But if
Big
Moonfall flops,
Illuminati.
man, he's like, now's the time. I'm 70. Now or never.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I got nothing left to lose.
nothing left to lose. Screw you, Roman Catholic Church.
Right.
Or whoever.
I did think like it's interesting that he hasn't done like a Dan Brown sort of movie, like a Da Vinci Code sort of like, because that I feel like is another sort of one of these things where it's like it's playing off a conspiracy theory, but
Hmm.
it's so big that it's influenced those who believe in the conspiracy theory sort of deal.
I feel like the threat just isn't big enough. Well, he would have to make it like that if you solve these clues, Lucifer emerges from a chasm in the volcano or something,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he needs like a world destruction, world ending part of it.
Yeah. He loves the directing those effects. And he
Yeah.
was into it before, the effects were even solid. So this man is just obsessed with them.
Makes me think of another 90s effects creature feature that's kind of about Lucifer breaking out, but Arnold Schwarzenegger's End of Days, which was a very weird movie for him, but definitely like that Lucifer that comes out at the end is all creature feature.
Okay.
I only vaguely remember that movie, but I know I saw it.
Similarly, I've seen pictures of
Add
like,
it to the list. We have to come back
of
to
the
it.
I've seen pictures of like the
Mhm.
big effect more recently than I've actually seen the movie.
Mm.
Ooh, okay. I'm putting it down.
All right, cool. Well, that wraps us up, man. It's probably the last one for a while. So it's been a great season. We did a whole bunch of movies in the last few months and getting through the strike and up to the end of the year and everything. So definitely look forward to getting in a new rhythm next year. And we also might come together and just do one here or there, depending on just how things work out in time. So that could be fun also. And maybe those will be a little longer if we're kind of breaking it up for a few months. But as far as like the continuous run, we're definitely going to have a couple weeks off here going into the end of the year. So thank you if you've listened. Well, if you're hearing this now, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And everybody else don't even get me started.
Ooh, slow down, man. Slow down. Don't go there.
I'm gonna get Victor on you if you ain't even listening. Wimbenyama.
Yeah, he'll go back in time
not
to
another
when you
Victor.
didn't listen to this and beat you up.
beat you up so bad. You and
But
Victor in a time machine. Oh, beautiful image.
that
But no,
actually,
no. I was gonna say thank you all for listening, and nothing. There's no better gift under whatever holiday tree that you celebrate than this podcast. So please share this podcast.
well said. And on that note, we'll catch you soon. Happy New Year. Happy 2023, 2024.
Mhm.
Auld Lang Syne.
Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Peace.